Ladies and gentlemen, recovering emo kids, welcome to Emo Kids Anonymous. I'm your host, Robb Laffoon, and today we're joined by a very special band, okay? This is a very cool episode for me here. I'm joined by, I don't even know how to describe them here. Second wave emo legends, underrated icons, Arkansas's finest Twemo band. Everyone Asked About You is my guest today, okay? I'm joined by Everyone Asked About You, one of the coolest emo bands of the mid to late 90s. Release a couple EPs, they break up, their album comes out about a decade later, 22 years later or so, they come back and they're bigger than ever. It's a wicked story, it's a wild story, and I'm very happy they came on my show to tell it. Super cool experience. I'm so psyched for you guys to hear this one, okay? Before we get into that, though, do me a favor. I need you to subscribe to the podcast, like, follow, all that kind of stuff if you can, obviously. Also, neveraphasenetwork.com, emokidsanonymous.com, at Never Network as well. And as you know, this episode's brought to you by our friends over at Protégé, okay? Protégé. That's the all-in-one face serum. It's good boy protection for bad bros, okay? It's got sunscreen, it's got retinol, it's got all that stuff you need, okay? And when you enter Emo Kids at checkout, your first bottle of Protégé, only $10. That's right. You go to protege.com, you enter Emo Kids at checkout, your first bottle of Protégé is $10. Now, with all that, ladies and gentlemen, this is Everyone Asked About You. Anyways, I'm very, very honored to have you guys on the show today. Everyone Asked About You. We have a lot to cover here, I guess. There's, kind of a 20-year gap in the middle there we can touch on, and the before times and the after times. So to start this, I guess, for people who listening who might not know you, let's brief introduction here of, Arkansas emo band.
Yeah, hi, I'm Chris from Everyone Asked About You. I live in Boston now, but was in Arkansas 25 years ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm Matt Bradley. Also, I play bass, and Everyone Asked About You, and also from Arkansas. I'm actually from Hot Springs, which is a little bit smaller town south of Little Rock. But I lived in Little Rock for a while and played these guys for a while. So
It's wild because we very recently had there's another Arkansas emo band. They're called Thoughts on Bowling, and they're one of the youngest bands we've ever had on the show. They've been around for like 18 months. They're like 19 or something like that. And like, in terms of band years, you guys might be, if we don't count the middle years there, I guess you've only been a band for about 7 or 8 years in total, but if we add it in. So let's go back to I guess the hallways of the high school in Arkansas where this band starts. What is the origin story of the group coming together here?
Yeah, so Collins and I, Collins, I play guitar and sing. Collins is the other guitar player. Collins and I went to the same high school. We went to Little Rock Central High School. And he was a year younger than me. We had an art class together, and ended up sitting at the same table. We hit it off as friends right away, and turned out that he lived just a couple blocks away from Lee, who plays drums for us. And Lee and I were in another band at the time with some other friends, and so I would spend every afternoon after school hanging out with Lee. I invited Collins over one day, and we kind of bonded over our desire to play something maybe a little bit more poppy than was of the other than what was on trend at the time. And
what was
also
on
we
trend
were
at the time? Like, what were you guys? Because this is what, like 1995 or so.
96.
Okay.
So, Cap and Jazz had come and gone essentially. Braid was really popular still, and Promise Ring and Rainer Maria were all very popular, but there was a lot of the Little Rock scene was very I don't know what the kids would call it now, but like it was like emotional hardcore. You know, it was like
Yeah.
bands like Chino Horde and William Martyr 17 and you know, loud, aggressive, uh like melodic, but we were like Lee and I were listening to the Rentals and listening to, you know, That Dog and, you know, all this
A little more of a
like
pop element kind of thing.
mid 90s pop stuff as kind of a supplement to all the kind of like screamo and emo stuff that was coming through during that time. Um and so yeah, we just kind of started jamming out together in between bouts of video games, and as we started to have some songs come together, we thought it would be really cool, thinking of like the Rentals or like Stereolab or whatever. It would be interesting to have like a female vocalist, and Hannah the singer and I went to middle school together, I believe, or I don't remember. I've been to so many fucking schools in my life that
Did you have
but
military parents, or were they just kind of fucking kind of weird?
no, it might be. I mean,
Because I had the
my
same thing, and everyone assumes I'm a military kid or something.
No, my parents were weird for sure, but we just kind of bounced around because I was born while my dad was still in college.
Okay.
He had just started med school, and then he like bounced around with all the different places and whatnot. I don't how we really ended up in Arkansas is beyond me, but the anyway, Hannah was part of like the periphery of our friend group, and Lee knew that she had taken singing lessons and was like interested in singing more regularly, and so we asked her if she wanted to sing. She said sure, it sounds fun. And then yeah, a couple months after we initial four of us got together, we played our first show, and that was kind of the initial formation of the band. We took our first 6 songs that we ever wrote, recorded them, and that's the first 7-inch and split 7-inch. And then while we were in the process of writing kind of later stuff, Matt ended up moving to Little Rock. And or did you move to Little Rock before or after you joined the band? Do you remember?
I technically moved there after, but I was hanging out a lot. It was like summer or something, and
You were
I had
coming up
just
from like Hot Springs, you're saying?
I was in Hot Springs. I'd been in Memphis, Tennessee most recently. Before that, I'd gone to art school there and then dropped out and was playing music and stuff there. And I'd moved back home to Hot Springs. And I knew all these kids just from going to shows because I'd been going to shows in Little Rock since 91 or whatever. I think was the first time I went up there. Um, but I wasn't playing, I had been playing in bands, the whole time, and I just wasn't playing in a band at that point. And I think we were just sitting on Shep's front porch drinking beers, and y'all were like, we want to flesh out the sound. And they were already talking to Beachboard, I think, about playing full-time keyboards and stuff. And I was like, well, shit, that'd be fun.
Might as well fill
Yeah,
this out.
I think I rode the Greyhound bus, probably for like the first 6 months I was in the band. Once a week, I'd
Sick.
get my guitar and get on a Greyhound bus to North Little Rock, and Lee would come pick me up at the bus station.
That's wicked. That's great. So when you guys did the first EP, then on the first one, there's no bass player at the time?
No bass. It was 2 guitars, drums were the primary instruments, and then we also had keyboards. We had Moog synthesizers as well.
That's wild because like it doesn't sound super like like when you go back and listen to it, it doesn't sound like thin in any way where it's noticeably absent in any kind of way. I guess the guitars and the drums do a good job of kind of carrying that, but
yeah,
compare that to the full length.
I've been thinking about that as we've been playing. I feel like we play all together more regularly than we did towards like the end of the 90s now, and I've had to evolve the way that I play guitar because Collins and I would play essentially bass lines on our guitar, and I've realized there's like half of the guitar that I don't use because I'm so used to having to play some sort of bass or
You're trying to lay down like
whatnot.
a root note, something. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're not real. Like fuck. Okay, I can kind of open things up a bit. We got Matt here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's cool. Hannah adds a lot to the band sound too, like vocally. Like it kind of. You mentioned all these other band. Like I think of second wave emo bands like them, like Braid and the like you're mentioning. I think what really sets you guys apart is Hannah in the band there. Was there like an interesting, like compared to the 90s till now, and I know it's difficult to speak for her experience directly, but have you noticed any sort of shift in terms of like how the industry maybe treats women or anything like that? Because, we have a lot of younger bands and the like, and they talk about things, and I'm like, it sounds so much better than it was before, but not quite there. But then, you guys come from the generation right before me as well. So I'm curious the comparison.
Matt, do you have any
You know,
thoughts?
I'm not sure. I can only imagine that it's better a little bit, and
Yeah,
obviously,
it's relative
still
term. Yeah.
a long way to go. But I mean, I see more women in bands now than I did back then. You know, I can't say that I necessarily saw any dismissive behavior as a part of our scene, but like we weren't dealing with any industry. We were dealing
Yeah.
with a handful of hardcore kids who had kind of hung their flag on the idea that we were cool with whatever, right?
Hmm.
And that we were all feminist and we were all, like pro queer and all this stuff. And the reality of that, was not always live up to the hype, but that was the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
That was the right way to be in this scene. And so again, that doesn't mean we all behave that way at all, but
Mm.
that was certainly like kind of the banner that we all carried. And so I don't know, I can honestly say that I don't think I ever witnessed any mistreatment or dismissal of Hannah, in the band, but I don't know what I didn't see.
I mean, I would say what I can speak to is that, you know, pretty much every show that we played in this string has like the bands all have female members, which was not the case back
No,
in the
right?
day, and our audience is significantly more female presenting
Hmm.
than back in the day, and I see a significant increase in uh like our like queer and trans presence
Hmm.
in the crowds, in the audience, and whatnot. So there is clearly some sort of shift within the underground or whatever. I mean, I guess we're technically not underground anymore,
Yeah,
but
I don't
in
know the
like
terms they use. Yeah, whatever.
in the scene, there's been some sort of shift, which feels very positive to me. Um, but I can't. I again, yeah, we can't speak to Hannah's experience, but I do
Hmm.
think that you see just a lot more of a female or feminine impact in the scene now than there was back in the day. Back in the day, it felt like one of the things that we thought about was like, is this like a tokenizing
Yeah, yeah.
thing?
It was treated like a gimmick or something at times, and I think mass public society, whatever, it would be kind of be minimized at times. Like there, when I was growing up, if there was a band with a girl singer, it's like, oh, is it? It's like it's either like No Doubt or Evanescence or Paramore, and it's like you don't do that with the guy bands, but
Yeah.
it becomes very categorized in a box. And as a whole, I'd say even just us like doing this show, one of the biggest eye openers has been that like holy shit, like it's just like we always the general alternative, anything punk rock related, very left leaning, and like you said, how we hung our banner, did we always act that way? We see it on the lineups for shows where, like you said, a lot of times it's just straight looking white guys, and I don't think we were always anyone was trying to be dismissive or to not be welcoming or this or that, but it's just kind of how it was. But you fast forward to now, and like every other band we have, yeah, it's not like that anymore. There's more
No.
variety, the doors are open, everyone could come to play. It's a much different world.
Well, and I remember back when we went on our one tour in the 90s, in 99, we played the More Than Music Fest. and every year they kind of had a different centralized theme of like so the More the Music Fest was in Columbus, Ohio. It happened every summer, and they would have a different theme every year that would kind of center how they would choose the bands, and then also how like they had like workshops and discussion groups that they would have. And with the year we played, their whole thing was every band had to have a female member. And I remember there was debate with there was like discussion back and forth. I was on phone calls with the organizers because Hannah just sang. She like didn't do anything else but sing, and they were not like, they didn't think she was like engaged or invested enough, or like, you know, played
What
as
does that mean?
I know. Like, I'm sorry that she's not Sarah from Unwound.
Like, what do you
You know?
what do you fucking want here? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
What a gendered response to that. When the most important person in the band is always the lead singer,
Right? I was gonna say, like, if that was any other band, that mother, like, if Hannah was Henry, like, that's the most important person in this band.
Right.
We take care of
Right.
Henry, but like,
No shit.
Jesus.
right?
So we
Wow.
don't get that. We don't get that
Yeah.
nowadays.
That's hopefully died off a bit. That's I imagine too, like, between what 2000 is when you guys stop,
Yeah, February 2000 was our last show.
and then what around holidays 2022 is when we get back at it. About then,
Yep. Mhm.
Were you guys individually doing music stuff in this time as well? I know there's a few bands going on, but was this the main career, or was there people stepping aside from music, kind of?
I pretty much played music in some form the whole time. Have since 1991, I guess. In and out of active bands. Sometimes I did like a solo singer-songwriter project for several years. Did a lot of stupid shit that no one needs to hear. But also, did have a couple of bands. And right before we got together, I was living in San Diego at the time and was in a band, for several years. And then
What band in
moved,
San Diego?
there's a band called Diamond Lakes. It wasn't, no, we didn't
What
really
part of San
find.
Diego were you in?
I lived in kind of the central area, mostly around North Park. I was there
Very
for
cool.
9 years. Yeah, it was
I
great.
grew up in
Great scene.
PB. I lived in City Heights, right outside North Park, for a long time.
Awesome, right on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I loved it. Sort of moved there by accident and kind of fell in love with it. But then I moved to Santa Fe, and so band really kind of broke up, partly because I was leaving town. But yeah, so long story short, I played music off and on, the whole time. And Lee obviously has, been a professional musician
yeah.
the whole time. But yeah, Collins had been in a band, but I don't think he was actively playing much right around the time that we got back together. Beachboard same used to be in a band with Collins after we broke up, but I don't think he was had any projects going at the time. Yeah, and then Shep sold all of his shit and didn't touch a
Sold all-
guitar in 2 years.
Didn't play for 20 years. Yeah. I mean, corporate's the wrong way to say it. I think I live a pretty punk rock life. But just using those lessons I learned back in the day in various different ways. But yeah, I when I decided I needed to get out of Little Rock, Lee and I moved to Boston in 2001. I sold all of my music equipment to pay for that move, and then I tried to pick up a guitar in like 2010 and had thought I had forgotten everything, and was just like kind of a waste of my energy. And then so then I didn't pick up a guitar again until summer of 22, in preparation for our reunion in December of 22.
So you guys were already talking about prepping or coming back and doing shows, and you hadn't even you weren't sure if you could still fucking bring it even?
The timeline is as such. We got approached by Numero to
do the release.
Originally they just wanted to do digital. They wanted to get all of our stuff online, like get our, like, all that was available online at the time was a poorly mastered version of the LP, and then a digital rip, a really crappy digital rip of our first 7-inch on YouTube. Like, that's pretty much that all it was available. And so Numero approached us and asked if we would be okay or be interested in them remastering everything and then taking control over the digital streaming and whatever else that might come of that. Lee and I thought that was kind of a joke. Like, we thought they were kidding. Not that the offer was a joke, but that there was like, who would want any of this? And so they pursued us for almost a year. And then finally it evolved to, we want to do the actual full discography. We said yes. And then a week later, we got invited to play the Numero 20 festival, their 20th the record label's 20th birthday party in February of 23. And I had said to the band when we met to talk about it, I had said, I'm not, like, I don't want to do this. Like, I haven't played the guitar. And John, our keyboard player, was like, well, this is a pretty cool story that's happening right now. Like, who would have thought that our high school band would have this kind of traction and interest amongst the younger generations, and to say no to this show would be a terrible end to that story. And I was like, okay, you're right. I literally only live my life to tell cool stories. Yeah. So
we're doing it all for the plot here anyway.
Right? Like, so sure. Yes, absolutely. I'm all in. But my one caveat is that we get back together before stepping out onto a stage in front of 3,000 people, because we'd never played to more than like 60 or 70 people before. Let's get back together, play a couple hometown shows, and so that we can shake some of the dust off. And so, yeah, then when that all happened, like late June of 2022. And so then the day after that meeting, I went out and bought a new guitar.
What'd you buy?
I bought like the $200 Gretsch. Yeah, it's like the dirt cheap Gretsch. And then once I realized that I could play again, I went back and replaced all my other guitars.
Sick. So what happened? Because I mean, you guys are saying like your biggest show is 60, 70 people. You guys disband. At some point, you become fucking online internet darlings with some tracks that aren't even on streaming service, basically here. How did this happen? I mean, fast forward to now. Did you at what point, like 2006, Chris, 2002, Matt, like any of this time in the past when the band's done, did you ever think this thing would come back? Like, obviously you think it's done, and then all of a sudden you're in fucking Rolling Stone magazine and stuff like that, or at least the digital one. Like, at least the digital one.
Take her to the dead, right? Yeah. I don't. Like,
that's pretty fucking stupid. That's like a TV show. You dream about like your little band happens, and then you're like, one day, hey, 20 years from now, and have a family, and they're gonna want us to come back and rock the house one more time.
Yeah, it's absurd by any measure, and amazing. Like, we're all just fucking over the moon about it and having a blast with it. But it is unreasonable, for like how this thing usually works, for sure.
No, that's
but yeah, I don't think
it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's like a movie almost,
Yeah.
Yep.
And none of us saw it coming at all. Like I think it really was just when Ken reached out to Lee, I was on one of those Instagram threads, and it was just like, what? Like, it didn't seem to make any sense. And we had seen that video from that pop rocks band in Japan, probably, I guess, around 2015 or something like that. And I don't even remember how it came to my attention. But they were covering songs off of the LP, and which was bizarre and amazing enough on its own that somehow, somewhere halfway across the planet, somebody was playing these songs in standard. Yes. but again, it still just felt like this tiny little thing, right? It didn't, that video didn't have 100,000 views on it or whatever, like
Mm.
I didn't realize that there was a 7-inch YouTube video that was building that traction. I don't think any of us did until
And
Numa told us about it.
yeah, and I think if we had been more interested in paying attention to the clues, we might have seen some of the things that Numero saw happening. There was that Japan video that was sent around to the band basically through our old buddy Nate Powell. He found it and then sent it to me, and I know he sent it to Lee, and then I sent it to whoever's number I had at the time. And then there was the climbing numbers on the first 7-inch video on YouTube. And then Lee was playing a show. I don't remember where he was playing, but he was playing a show with the Body, and this dude from Europe somewhere like came up to him and was like, "I love your band so much." And he's like, "Oh, thanks. That's so cool." And he's like, "No, not this one. Everyone asked about you. I love him so much. I named my solo record's first album is named Everyone Asked About You, and you don't know what you mean to us." And then one day, I don't remember how I came across it, but I found a YouTube video where somebody had done basically like a video research paper on the 7-inch, the first 7-inch, and just like talked about like it was basically like writing an English paper about the first 7-inch.
I've
like,
seen
this is
the
crazy.
video, it's like a video essay. It's like just
yeah. And so and then even with those pieces, it would have been really hard to see where we're at now. But then when we played our show in Little Rock in 22, and there was a carload of teenagers that drove from Chicago to come see us.
Insane.
Which is like, I mean, that's what we used to do back in our day. It was like, oh, the band that we want to see that we may never be able to see again isn't playing anywhere close to us, so we got to drive 6 or 7 hours. Like, well, let's do it, and we do it, and have memories for the rest of our lives about it. I remember driving to Columbus Fest the year before we played with 6 people crowded in the back of my station wagon. And so, but yeah, there was no predictor. Certainly, I never thought any of this would ever happen. I'm very glad that it has. It's so fun.
This is pretty cool. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
What are there's this episode of the Boondocks, the cartoon where Martin Luther King goes to the future and he's like awake, and it's like a whole different social thing. But what I'm taking from that is like you guys were in you guys were like frozen basically for 20 years, and then you're unfrozen, and you go from. I mean, I guess the internet existed in the late 90s, but you guys weren't really using it like I mean, there was forums and stuff. Were you guys even did you even fucking have that shit?
I mean,
had Prodigy, which was just basically guess what you would call a message board, back in the early 90s. And I would use it, I mean, because we were still, particularly in Hot Springs, Arkansas, we were a small town. And so we didn't even have MTV on our cable package. And so, I remember hearing the Lemonheads version of Mrs. Robinson on a classic rock radio station on my way to school one day when I was probably a sophomore in high school, and being like, what the fuck is this? This is the best thing I've ever heard. And I had to get on Prodigy on a alt rock message board and be like, who's doing a cover of Mrs. Robinson? This is amazing. And that's how I discovered the Lemonheads.
I mean, is that how you guys would have been discovering music back then in general? It was through stuff like that? Because how are you finding these bands?
Yeah, mostly it was friends. Was playing shit for us, and that music was everything back then. So if we were constantly sitting around listening to records.
Yeah, it was like a friend would make a mixtape. You meet somebody in a band that came through. You'd swap addresses, phone numbers, maybe you'd exchange a couple phone calls, become pen pals, swap mixtapes of local bands that way. A band would come through. Like I remember seeing, who was it? It was Second Story Window from San Diego, and a couple of other bands. I think it was Ezra Pound, which was pre Raina Maria, and Car Bomb was the show. It was, and because Second Story was on Gravity Records, I remember walking up to the merch table and saying, okay, which of these records should I buy? And just literally went through and would buy whatever the guy behind the table would tell me to buy. And then I remember, I worked at the Arkansas CD and Record Exchange, which was like one of two record stores that sold independent music. And so we would, we'd convince the owner to let us buy a bunch of punk rock records that we'd heard about, but maybe not listened to. And then we'd, cherry pick what we wanted out of it. But we had a website, late 90s, on Tripod. It still exists. You can find it.
What's it called? On Tripod?
So Tripod was it was like a GeoCities, or it was like a website hosting platform that's been bought and sold 1,000 times. But when we booked our tour, there was no email involved. It was all phone calls and notebooks. And it was, oh, hey, Chris Wilson, you just went on that last tour. Like, who do you know in these areas that might be able to hook us up with a show? But yeah, finding new music was almost always just friends in like 120 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So you had Matt Pinfield.
Yeah. Matt Pinfield. And then what was Kennedy from Alternative Nation.
What's his first name?
No, the girl, Kennedy, with the curly red hair.
No, I'm thinking of Little Steven. I'm thinking of different radio guy. So how would you guys promote your band back then?
Flyers.
How to get the word out?
Lee probably took out ads in like Heart Attack and Maximum Rock and Roll and Punk Planet and stuff like that, like the sort of bigger national zines.
Yeah.
I think probably, I don't know, Chris, you probably speak more to that than I do.
So records and shows were different stories. Like, when we put out a record, Lee ran the record label. And so he would, every 2 months he'd pay the $50 to get an ad put in Heart Attack magazine or whatever the other big zines at the time were. And then we sent out a handful of records to different places to get reviewed. I think we only got one review and it was terrible. But as far as shows were concerned, that the DIY network in the 90s was, you call a friend of a friend, they say, yeah, we can have you on this night, or if you can come the next night, this other band is going to be in town and they're already booked. And then it was up to the people who booked us to hand out flyers. I mean, I used to book shows in Little Rock, and so my job was remember who's coming through, make sure to print up flyers, go out to my quote unquote street team, which were just the punk kids that went to the different high schools, and hand out flyers to each of them to hand out to the kids at each of their schools. And that's kind of how it was. I mean, promotion was not something that we were super interested or trying to do. We just kind of we like playing music with our friends. We like going on these adventures of like driving to Memphis to play a show, or driving to Fayetteville to play a show, or breaking down in North Carolina with a busted fan belt on tour or whatever. I don't think we've ever had a conversation about promotion until this last 2 years.
I was going to say, how's it compared to this time around, where all of a sudden you're like, what the fuck is it? They're like, all right, so you guys got to make up a dance, and you got to
goddamn algorithms.
Oh my god!
What the fuck is that? Like, oh my
Jeff
god!
does all the work on the algorithms, unfortunately for him.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays it's quite different. Um, it's been interesting because to watch like how all the different bands because there has been a big resurgence of bands of our era that are either re-releasing things or playing shows again. It's been interesting to see all the different kind of quote unquote strategies that everyone's using. Um, my approach has been not to have a strong strategy. It's just like, try to keep whatever we're doing um interesting to anybody who has to touch it, right? So like if we're playing music together as a group, like it needs to stay interesting and fun for all of us. If
Yeah.
it's dealing with the social media, which is pretty much I'm the only one that really does that, then what I'm doing needs to be interesting to me, and it has to kind of aesthetically fit with the general vibe of the band, which is like sad, moody teenager, which despite being 47 years old is very easy for me to tap into.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's the tough part sometimes is we had a band on like a couple months ago, Sports, and they were very big in the 2010s, mid 2010s, very similar situation. You guys were just like internet darlings, did well, went away for a while, came back. Holy shit, all these people want to see us. They found us online. Same kind of thing, but they were 20 years after you guys, like getting back into that mode. Like, I mean, we've released some new music since you've been back. Like, how is it going and getting in that everyone asked about you mindset again when it comes to like writing a song?
I mean, every time we've been together, Collins has said this on repeat, but every time we get together, I mean, because every time we get together, it feels like we're 18 again.
Nice.
It's just like feels like I'm hanging out with my absolute best friends from high school and just goofing off and having fun. And so with respects to that, like when we wrote that new record, we almost like forced ourselves to do it the way we did it back in the day. Wrote it in 3.5 days and recorded it in 2.5 days. And my dog is about to start barking at something outside. So,
You're good. You're
but
good.
but yeah, so it was just it didn't seem crazy different, but we're still writing new stuff, and it'll be interesting to see how that all evolves and where we take things. So
I was just say you managed to like stick to your ethics and like what makes it fun for you guys enough that it kind of stays in like a bit of a bubble where you're like, I'm not playing these games because we don't need to right now, like you've been
We
lucky.
we never did. And I think that's one of the things that kind of goes back to the idea that we didn't market or promote ourselves in any particular way back then. Like, I don't remember ever at any point, and I joined the band halfway through, we did have kind of a sound established. No one ever said, play something that sounds like this, or even don't play what you just played, right? Like, no one has ever told me what to do or what we wanted to sound like. And maybe there were conversations about that before I came around, but I think when it came time for me to sort of wrap my head around playing this music again, and particularly around writing new music with this band, that at first like, oh shit, how do I sound like everyone asked about you? And it's like, well, I just show up and listen to what Chris and Collins play, and I just play, because that's what I did back then. Like, I was never trying to sound like anything. In fact, at the time that I joined the band, I didn't listen to any of that stuff. Like, I had felt like my Braid days were in my past when I joined Everyone Asked About You. I was one of the few people who liked the Perfect From Now On album at the time. I think everyone thought it was a little too psychedelic. But and I was like rediscovering my love for Dinosaur Jr. and stuff. I was just on a totally different place, but it didn't matter because it was just like, just show up and play. It was never like we're trying to sound like 90s Midwest emo like that. I don't think it us ever said those words, so getting back together and doing it again, it's like, oh, we'll just do what I did in 1998, which was show up and hang out with my friends and just play whatever feels fun.
You mentioned 90s Midwest emo, which is like very common terminology now. But when I came up in like the 2000s, and like emo was like became like a dirty word kind of thing because it's associated with all these, like more pop punk alt rocky bands. It's more of, like the aesthetic. And then, like the real emo copy pasta thing, it's these bands and the like. But at the time, were these terms we were using? Like, did you refer to yourselves as an emo band? Was this, I mean, like you mentioned, like emotional hardcore, emo core, like what were the terms of the time? What did we call ourselves? Like what, and, how do you see it as different compared to now where things kind of get miscategorized a lot?
Well, so I think it's interesting because what we would call emo back in the 90s, it would not be called straightforward emo now. Like Braid was maybe considered emo, but like Promise Ring, when they would come through Little Rock, they would be billed as a pop rock band, right?
Interesting.
Because they're like a poppy rock band. And we were so like the emo when if I think about what I considered emo during that time, it was bands like William Martyr 17, Constantine Sincati, like Embassy, Indian Summer, like that like proto, like early screamo stuff that it's like got a harder, rawer edge. Yeah, but like less chaotic and more like quiet, loud. You could envision the singer crying about some atrocity that they either felt personally or were witnessing in the world. All very good, beautiful, powerful music, right? But like maybe a little bit more closely aligned to like Fugazi, but maybe less skilled at instruments. Like it's kind of the way that right? And
it's kind of how it was, for my era. It was just kind of like you just weren't really good enough to play those other things, so you kind of just ended up sounding a certain way.
Yeah, or
the
in
punk edge came on accident.
Specifically, like the weird, like Red Medicine Fugazi stuff. That's like what I would have considered emo, or like yeah, I mean, and then the Rainer Marias, the Braids, or Cap and Jazz was very much of that like emo piece, and then there was this like poppier section. We never really tried to classify ourselves at all. We just kind of, as Matt said, played what we like to play. It so happened that during that time, like I was very much in like the Venn diagram of that like screamo emo stuff, the mid 90s alt rock like rentals and stuff like that, and then the poppier end of that Midwest emo, that was like what I was listening to, and so that's kind of what bled out into what I was playing at the time. But we would just I believe we were also billed as like a power pop band on one of our shows on the tour that we went on, which I mean, if you only listen to our first record, you could conceivably
certain tracks maybe, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I don't take any offense to that term.
But that also almost feels like a Hannah thing at play there too, where it's like a cat, like, oh, it's poppier because of this, that, because musically to me, I hear it, I'm like, this is quintessential, like second wave emo, like this is Braid, this is Cap and Jazz, like that's what there's this franticness to it and this yearny, soft, loud thing, like you're saying, and it gets quiet and that's what it is to me. Yeah, power pop is. There's a lot of emo bands I would call power pop. I don't know if I would have thrown you guys in there.
Yeah. And I think part of our billing, or part of the way that we were received or perceived early on, was because we recorded our LP, but the LP never came out.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only recorded stuff that people heard was originally just our first 7-inch. and which is the poppiest of it all. But yeah, I mean, people can call us whatever we want. We're just gonna play whatever the fuck we want anyway.
You're like it doesn't. Yeah, at the end of the day, these are words made up for. Yeah, back it was like kids on the school bus or the message boards, and now these are just words for me to mine content from and shit. Yeah. So what was the Let's Be Enemies process then? Like it didn't come out until after you guys were done. When did it finally release then?
So we recorded it or we were in the middle of recording it when we went on tour. Finished recording it fall of 99. There was a record label that was lined up to put it out. They ran out of money, and then we kind of bounced it around to a couple different places. We even sent like copies of it, or like unmastered versions of it, to a couple record labels that we admired to see if they would be interested. Never heard back. And then it just kind of got shelved until 2012, I think it was 2010. And had an old friend of the band reach out to us and say, hey, whatever happened to the LP? And I was like, I have no idea. And he was like, well, if I can find a copy of it, could I press a couple hundred pieces of vinyl? And I said, well, good luck with that. And then they set off on a mission and got it pressed. I think they did 200 copies of the original first run of it, never repressed it. And that's how it ended up on streaming. And yeah, it just kind of sat in Lee's mom's closet.
I'm just putting this together now. So you guys when you guys recorded the album and the EPs, 96, 99 there, did you guys do this on tape?
Digital audio tape.
Okay.
There are also 2 other recording sessions that have gone completely missing. We have like terrible live recordings of those songs, but there's another 5 or 6 songs that just have gone absolutely
fucking lost.
Yeah.
You can't remember them, of course.
Well, no, we have taught ourselves how to play them. Whether or not we will ever actually do anything with them is a whole other story.
What a heartbreak.
I love them. One of them favorite song we've ever written.
Yeah, no, I think I love them as well. We were deep in the throes of Matt Bradley having convinced us that Perfect From Now On was the best Built to Spill record.
Yeah.
Well, keep it like a secret had just come out, which was an easy sell. But yeah, I think I won everybody over there. Like, this is hippie music. I'm like, yeah.
So
these are fucking cool right now. Yeah.
3 of those 5 or 6 songs are like 8.5 minute long.
Oh my God. Yeah.
No parts repeat.
Sick. That's the mythical. Yeah. You thought the EPs did numbers. Yeah, no. Wait till that makes its way onto Vimeo or whatever the YouTube alternative is. Damn. Wow.
Well, you know, it's funny though too, because like we thought, oh, people really like our early kind of quote unquote poppier stuff, whatever. We figured that was going to be like the songs that we knew we had to play live every single time. And even talking to our record label, I'm like, yeah, people like 2.5 to 3.5 minute long songs, and like, you know, a couple of your songs are a little long. And now the one song we know we absolutely have to play every night is 6.5 minutes long. It's like we just know it.
What is it?
It's called Sometimes Memory Fails Me Sometimes. And it went viral on TikTok out of nowhere. And so now we have to play it every time. And I have no issue playing it because I love playing that song. It's really, really fun to play. But it's just funny because it's so like what has clicked is very contrary to what like people in like the industry will tell you should be doing.
No,
so I'm like,
absolutely.
maybe we should record those 8.5 minute long songs.
You should. If that's for as negative and all this social media technology, like there's pluses and minuses, but like one of the pluses is that like a fucking relatively random Arkansas band can have like the closing track on their 2-song EP from fucking 20 years ago, almost 30 years, can just randomly like go like 1,500 kids could just fucking get their hands on it and just decide this is the jam, and it.
Yeah.
Wow. Like
it's awesome.
It's ridiculous.
I love it. I'm glad I get to do it. I needed something to.
Right. Have you guys kept up with the emo scene at all in general? There's, any modern bands that you guys are really into or put onto?
I mean, I love pretty much all the bands that we've been able to play with on this run, or this string of shows. Birthday Girl DC, who supported us on a bunch of our East Coast dates, are fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
There also happen to be punk rock royalty, so they and then we played with My Point of View in Denton. That was really fun. They were great. And yeah, there's just a bunch. I mean, when do you think this will come out?
Probably Monday.
Okay. Cool.
You can tell me after we end this.
Yes, sure.
tell me afterwards. All right.
But some of the things that I loved were like, like Home Is Where, fantastic band. Yep. They played the small stage either right before or right after us at Best Friends Forever Festival last year. But they're so good. I've been a huge fan of Echo Astral since their Pink Balloons record came out. Yep. That record is like, it's like the DNA is DC hardcore, and I just love it. And yeah, it's just like and World's Worst, they put out a record last year out of Salt Lake City, and they're like kind of slacker. They got a little emo, they got a little early Weezer, they've got some shoegazy stuff in it. There's a lot of really good stuff coming out, which I wouldn't have been paying attention to had I not been playing music again.
That Best Friends Forever lineup you guys are on might be one of the dumbest, like just the best festival lineups I've ever seen in my life in general.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
It was awesome. I know somewhere there's a video of me standing side stage during Rainer Maria, bawling my eyes out.
Sick. That's great.
Oh man, so good.
What's next? Good. Like, I mean, we have been playing shows. There's festivals, EP. Is there going to be like, everyone asks about you, like a full length released on a timely manner when you guys are together? Are we going to do the thing where you make it and then fucking make me wait a decade? Like, I don't know if we'll be here.
I don't know that I have a decade.
Right? Like, I don't know if this planet has a decade, dog.
We're getting old, man. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say that we're working on some new stuff. I don't think there's any timeline in place for it, but Chris just sent over a couple of new stems yesterday and today, so we're playing with it. I don't know, Shep, maybe you should talk.
I mean, we before our last run in Texas, a few of us got together for a couple days and played around with like some riffs and stuff that we had all been enjoying, and then that turned into, let's get together and like try to do a formal writing session that doesn't have a recording session strapped to the back end of it, so we have no pressure. We can just like see where the songs take us.
Yeah.
John's coming up to visit, because so if I didn't say this already, we live in 6 different states in 4 different time zones. So
wonderful.
John's coming up from Arkansas to Connecticut where Lee lives, and we're going to spend a weekend, the 3 of us, playing around with some of the stuff that has been floating around in our band group chat, and we'll see what comes of that. We're certainly going to be continuing to play more shows. And we only have a finite amount of time every year that we can set aside to like all be in the same spot. What the fuck?
Yeah, that was demon
and
work there.
it's just an old house. And so we just have to be cognizant of not asking too much of anyone's time and make sure that it's rewarding and enriching for everybody. So but yeah, we've got some shows lined up for this year, so people should keep an eye out for that for sure. And hopefully we'll get into the studio at some point soon, whether we're doing some like post office thing where some of us get together and record and then ship the files off to somebody else and they do their part somewhere else. But
Oh, you guys are doing it like that?
no, I mean, Sim, we haven't figured it out yet because we have so many.
I was because you mentioned the stems earlier. I was like, oh, that's one of the nice benefits of now. You guys can like digitally be sending things like that. And I'm like, oh shit, they're
I mean, we could potentially. We don't know, but that might be one of the solutions to the difficulty of getting us all in the same place.
Of course, no, I get that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a couple things before you go. When new music is one thing, but it's 2025, 2026, you're playing something like a Handsome Beautiful or something like these older songs. Like, did the time away give you like a different appreciation for them? Do you see this song, like, do you view the songs differently now? Like, if you attach new meanings to them, like what's that experience?
I have a long answer, so Matt, if you have a short answer.
Yeah, I probably have a shorter answer. I mean, it was always just fun for me. Like I said, I sort of joined the band in the middle of the ride and like just love to hang out with my friends and play music. And so, certainly easy to jump back into that, but like a completely new appreciation for it, and in a way that like, I'd have to sit down and put pen to paper to figure out how many bands I've been in since I was 16.
Yeah.
And this was one of them, right? Like, and that was honestly kind of it, for a long time.
Yeah.
And not that I disliked it or had any bad relationship to it, but it just, it was just another band I was in at a time. And, now like being like, oh shit, people are actually listening to this music, definitely recontextualizes it and allows me to go back and be like, oh shit, like I'm really proud of that. Like, like I'm happy. I'm not embarrassed at all to like play this old music, which is there's certainly old music in my catalog that I would not be proud to play. But
Same.
all of the stuff is and yeah, so kind of falling back in love with it that way or again really really seeing it from a very different perspective has been amazing. And then for me, I've also gotten to learn the whole first half of the band's career, which I wasn't a part of. Now I get to be a part of that. And to be honest, those are some of my favorite songs to play are the songs that I was on the band on.
This is the ones you weren't even there for.
Yeah. I mean, it's new to me in a lot of ways. So I kind of have two sides of that coin and all of it's good,
Yeah. And I think we are, as a band, we're far better performers than we were back then. Like we've said it many times, but it used to be that we would practice, which was just writing new songs, and then we'd play a show on the songs that we had written 3 hours earlier in practice. And we never really understood the idea of like rehearsing and like getting good at playing those songs and then and learning how to actually be on a stage and give a performance. So that's something that's very different from back in the day. It is interesting being one of the primary lyric writers to look back on what the subject matter was and the stories that were being told and having the perspective of time and experience and maturity to be able to read between those lines and see what I was really trying to get at.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, what is like, Yeah, 2026 Chris is singing like you're playing Boston. Like I imagine you're like in your head, you're like there's a different movie playing, you know.
Yeah, and like it's so that's been pretty interesting. And it's been a kind of a cathartic evolution for me too, because I loved the band when we were a band. And then I moved to Boston. My kind of interests and musical taste kind of expanded and shifted away from what I was listening to in the 90s and what we played. And there was a solid 10-year period where I never told anybody I was in a band. I never talked about being in a band. I was kind of embarrassed by the like heart on your sleeve nature of our music. And to be able to come back to it now and see how it resonates with people who are now the age that I was when I wrote it, and also know the stories that I was trying to tell while writing that music. It's been very enriching for me. Like it's kind of like a healing feeling inside that has been pretty fantastic.
That's sick. What's your guys' favorite song to play? Like what song hits the hardest to you now to fully grown adult you? Not even just to play, but just in the catalog.
Well, I think my favorite song to play is "I Will Wait," which is one of the songs that I wasn't a part of the band on, and I know that's really hard for Chris to play. It is not hard at all for me to play, and so it's a lot of fun. And yeah, like I'm always stoked when we start that song. Yeah, but Chris is like,
I just can't, like my poor old hands do not move that fast anymore.
I arthritis, yeah.
I've a song that I really like to listen to now from our catalog, not necessarily play it, but like that I feel like is it's like it tells the story of the band, is Song for Chris.
Yeah.
It very much is just like we could have just locked this up in a closet and kept all of our memories there, and it's kind of interesting how kind of psychic that song is about the future. But my favorite song to play, I think, would be Handsome Beautiful. I think it was really fun for me and to work with the rest of the band, because it was a very keyboard heavy song. We also did a lot of like studio stuff that was really hard for us to replicate live, and so it's been really fun to both evolve it so that we can play it live and figure out how to get it close to that but still keep it fun,
like
and enjoyable. Yeah, exactly. And so that song's really fun, and it always ends up being kind of a moshy one, even though it's like this like sweet I don't know. I love playing all of our songs.
I know.
Shit's fun, right?
Yeah, no, it's just really fun.
It's fun.
We never had anybody ever sing along to our songs, and now to have people jumping up on stage, grabbing the mic, singing the lyrics, and then doing a stage dive is like, it's so cool.
That's like I said, with my friends with sports, it was the same thing. Like I went and saw them here in LA, and he's like, last time we played here was with Mom Jeans. There was like 18 people. I'm like, there's people screaming your songs. I'm like, these kids hadn't even hit puberty when Demon Days came out. You know, it's like and that's a 10-year-old record, and they're just like stage diving and stuff like that. And just like, you guys deserve these flowers. Like this is your, like you deserved it then, but now you fucking get it. And it's almost so much fucking sweeter when you're older, because you can like appreciate it. And you're saying, like, we're smart enough to know, like, hey, what if we rehearse? What if we kind of try to put on a decent show, this and that? Like, now we can actually fucking give you something worth your while. Like, now we can appreciate your respect and love for our band. Like, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome experience.
I'm really grateful that you guys joined me here today. I think this is going to be This is gonna get us. You guys are gonna get us a lot of emo cred here. This is a good pull. When I first talked to you guys, I went and told my guy Scott's Records. I was like, everyone asked about you's gonna come on the show. You know, like, can you believe that? Like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, no way. I was like, that's like a fan account or something. I'm like,
yeah.
oh shit. Like,
No, we have an overlapping algorithm. I can tell.
yeah. Our general worlds. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I'm going to
joining me.
I'm going to some house show of like in Boston on Saturday of some like college age emo band that
What's the venue called?
It's a house show. It's a house show.
Is
I'm
it-
going
is
to a
it- is it-
DIY house
It's not
show.
Arnold House, right? No.
No, it's not Arnold House. I'd have to
No,
look,
okay.
but it's like, hey,
Sick.
let's go see what the kids are doing.
Yeah, I feel the same. I'm probably like 10 years younger, and I feel the same way. Where I'm just like, oh fuck, you guys are up to
Mhm.
cool shit now. I'm so proud of you. Like we get like 20-year-old bands. I'm just like so proud of you. You don't understand the opportunity you have right now. Just do things like this, you know. Like there's one band we talked, Dear Cincinnati. They're from Tallahassee, and you know they're great. And they were on the drummer toured with Thoughts on Bullying from Arkansas, and he's in town here, and I'm giving him. I'm realizing like I'm the uncle, like at the function here, just being like, you don't realize how good you got it, young man. Like this is a big broad world for you. Doing this, and his mom. I get a follow say from someone with the last name, and I click on it, I realize it's his mom, and I look, and I'm like, we could have went to high school together.
Yeah.
But the nice
Yep.
part is now that our scene is a lot less racist and sexist and homophobic and transphobic as before. We're also like a little less ageist too, so you don't got to be
Yeah.
23 and hot to play the festivals no more.
Thank God. Yes. Just
Thank you
47 and
guys.
hot.
Yeah, right. Thank you guys for coming today. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Of course.
Take care.
This show is a part of the Never a Phase Network, a collective of creators dedicated to keeping the spirit of the scene alive. Our network of creators make social media content, they share music news and reviews, and of course bring you great podcast content. For more information, please visit neveraphasenetwork.com and follow Never a Phase Network on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Hey man, it's your boy Petty Hendrix, man. You tuned in to Emo Kids Anonymous. Check it out. It is.